Born from a need to train soldiers to fight the Axis powers of World War II, Camp Polk rose from the piney woods of west central Louisiana to answer our nation's call to arms. The residents of Vernon Parish saw the population of Leesville swell by 20,000 construction workers desperate for jobs following the Great Depression. Soldiers were more numerous than trees during the Great Louisiana Maneuvers when more than 500,000 soldiers trained at Camp Polk and the surrounding area. Camp Polk grew from tents and troops in the woods to concrete streets and permanent buildings as the War Department realized the value of training provided by Louisiana. Men destined for greatness walked the streets and training grounds of Camp Polk. Eisenhower, Clark, Bradley, Marshall, and Patton all oversaw the Louisiana maneuvers in preparation for the impending war. After World War II, Camp Polk closed to wait for the next time it would be needed. Barely had one war ended when another began as the communist North Koreans crossed the 38th parallel and attacked their neighbors to the south. Camp Polk stood up for training in 1951 and closed again in 1954. But in 1955, with the promise of permanent status and a new name, Fort Polk became home to the 1st Armored Division from Fort Hood. Even though it became an infantry training center in 1962 to support the buildup of the Vietnam War, permanent status was not to be granted Fort Polk until 1975, when it became home to the 5th Infantry Division Mechanized. From then until 1992, when the 5th Division moved to Fort Hood, Texas, modernization and change became the watchword at Fort Polk. New barracks replaced World War II wood open-bay structures. Hundreds of housing units for families were built, and a new modern hospital that cost more to build than it originally cost to construct Camp Polk began serving active duty family members and retirees. Since 1993, the Joint Readiness Training Center at Fort Polk has been the premier testing ground for light infantry, airborne, air assault, and special operations forces. Located on close to 200,000 acres, the installation allows complete integration of Air Force and other military services, as well as host nation and civilian role players. In the summer of 1993 until 2005, the 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment called Fort Polk home. The 2nd Dragoons became the cavalry regiment for the 18th Airborne Corps, serving as part of a rapid deployment force able to move quickly anywhere around the globe. The training is only one of Fort Polk's many missions. Fort Polk is well suited for its mission as a power projection platform. Since December 2001, the installation has mobilized and deployed more than 19,000 active, Guard, and Reserve forces. Of the 10,500 soldiers assigned to Fort Polk, more than 6,000 have deployed. That's 6 out of every 10. And through all the challenges, the installation's military and civilian employees seem to move mountains to get these soldiers what they needed when they needed it. As the Army's premier training center for light forces, Fort Polk is exceptionally well suited to support one of the Army's new infantry brigade combat teams, the 4th BCT 10th Mountain Division Light. Within months of activation here, 410 has transformed into one of the Army's most deployable brigade combat teams, capable of meeting the newest challenge in the global war on terror. Fort Polk is also home to the 1st Combat Support Brigade Maneuver Enhancement. Its focus is to provide trained and ready combat support and combat service support units for deployments worldwide, and deploy they have. Since 2001, the brigade has provided engineer, military police, medical, chemical, transportation, and many other specialties to commanders operating in 19 different countries. In fact, the 1st CSB is the most deployed unit of its size in the Army. Fort Polk's medical activity is also leading the way forward. These soldiers and civilians have won top acclaim from the Department of Defense for their excellent service, not just to thousands of deploying troops, but also to thousands of family members. And new investments like a 2nd dental clinic and approved funding for additional facilities will ensure that Fort Polk's active duty community continues to receive the best total quality care available for years to come. But Fort Polk's transformation doesn't stop there. Under direction from the Installation Management Command, the Fort Polk Garrison is leading the way in transforming how we operate our installations. By changing the business model, Fort Polk has gone from a climate of ownership to one of entrepreneurship. Our soldiers living in the barracks feel more like they are at home when they are off duty. The morale, welfare, and recreation facilities are changing to meet the needs of the people who use them. We are partnering with our neighbors downtown to achieve a community of one where soldiers and civilians alike can come together in a spirit of cooperation. Even bigger changes are going on for Fort Polk's more than 18,000 military family members. A new era in quality of life has arrived as Pasern Military Housing has assumed responsibilities for on-post quarters. As part of the Residential Communities Initiative, this $282 million investment is transforming military housing in the coming years as it greatly improves the quality of life for soldiers and families. Other important projects like the new Consolidated Library and Education Center, Post Headquarters, Soldier and Family Readiness Center, and a brand-name restaurant that will serve our community when they need it have set new standards Army-wide and provide Fort Polk soldiers, families, retirees, and DA civilians stellar services today and for years to come. In all, hundreds of millions of dollars in funds have been approved for new projects and facility upgrades. These quality-of-life changes are for our soldiers and family members. It's paramount to focus on the way they live so they can focus on the mission of fighting the global war on terror. What is Fort Polk? It's the premier joint training facility for light forces. A superb power projection platform. Home to more than 113,000 soldiers, family members, retirees, and civilian employees. Constantly improving and transforming to meet the needs of our military and our nation. The JRTC in Fort Polk, home of heroes.